Okay, let's let everyone join. How are you guys today? I want to look something up really quickly. Okay. Today we're talking all about the tongue. Hi, Matt. The first person out here is a guy. Hey, Sarah. That's funny. It's over here. Hey, Kaylin. All right, so we got some people joined. So today we are going to talk about the wounds of gossip or the damage of gossip. There is so much power in the tongue. In fact, the Bible has many verses to say about the tongue, and I'm just going to start this off by reading some. Those who came up with the phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, didn't have a clue what they were saying. In fact, it's a very unbiblical. That's just totally unbiblical because words can hurt people, and the Bible has much to say about the tongue. Proverbs 12:18, there is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. Talking about it can be used for health. Ephesians 4:29, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. Proverbs 21:23, whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. Why would there be troubles if there's nothing wrong with the words we say? James 3:8, but the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil. James calls it an evil, full of deadly poison. Proverbs 18:21, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. 1 Peter 3:10, for he that will love life and see good days, let him refrain his tongue from evil. Once again, our tongue is called evil, and his lips that they speak no guile. James 3:6, and the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and is set on fire of hell. James 3:5, even so the tongue is a little member and boasteth great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. And that right there is gossip in a nutshell. It fireth it kindles a fire. James 1:26, if any man among you seem to be I cannot read today. If any man among you seem to be religious and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is in vain. Leviticus 19:16, thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people. Neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord. James 3:7-12, for every kind of beast and of birds and of serpents and of things in the sea is tamed and hath been tamed of mankind. But the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil full of deadly poison. Therewith bless we God, even the Father, and therewith curse we men, which are made after the similitude of God. Out of the same mouth proceedeth blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not so to be. Doth a fountain send forth at the same place, sweet water and bitter? Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries, either a vine figs? So can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh. So there's some more verses about, James had a lot to say about the tongue, actually. James and Proverbs. Okay, so that whole chapter in James 3 is a really good chapter about the tongue. So, yep. Okay, so today we are talking about the tongue, and words do have much power. They have power in relationships, they have power in the unity of church, they have power to destroy. The Bible says a lot about the tongue and about words, and I encourage all of you to do a Bible study and look up just what the Bible has to say about tongue and the words. I would say that this problem, the problem of gossip and the tongue, is not just something women struggle with. It's definitely something that men struggle with too. In fact, I'm sick of women getting a bad rap for it when I've seen men just be just as destructive with their tongue. But this show is geared towards women, so let's talk about women and to women. So, what is gossip and what is it not? So, the definition is gossip, casual or unconstrained conversation or reports about other people, typically involving details that are not confirmed as being true. There can also be subcategories of gossip. There can be positive gossip. This in of itself is not bad. This is the type of gossip I would actually like to encourage. This is where you spread positive stories or highlight highs about other people to other people. There can be neutral gossip. This is just talking, not with an agenda, not with trying to make them look bad to other people, just making observations. That in and of itself is not really harmful. We're people and we talk about other people. You know, it's to say you don't is a lie. As humans, we naturally have interests in other humans, and there's nothing wrong with that in and of itself. However, if we have a falling out with someone, that can quickly escalate into negative gossip. And that's the third category. Negative gossip is where we try to change the perception of someone else in someone else's mind or heart. It's intentionally trying to make someone look bad to someone else. It's sharing one-sided conversations. It's telling one part of the story. It's demonizing someone and even embellishing and adding more to stories. It's letting someone think badly of another when you know that's not even how the situation played out. So what do we do when faced with the choice to gossip or to listen to gossip? And I'm going to give you some tips. And these tips, they come after being in church my whole life, my entire life, since the time I was 1. That's when my parents got saved. It was when I was 1 year old. And I've been in church ever since then. And it's also after being in the ministry for 2 decades. And after seeing all the damage that the tongue does. Every church split that I've ever seen, every conflict that I've ever seen in a church is directly related to the tongue. Most of the time when you have a church split, it's not due to even doctrine. It's very rare. It's mainly due to personality conflicts and or just the tongue. You know, people and levels of leadership going around, whispering to other people, people in the church, talking to everyone besides the pastor about problems they have with the pastor. It's almost always directly related to the tongue. And a bird just hit the window. Okay. So what do you do when faced with the opportunity to gossip or to listen to gossip? Just number one, remember that there are 2 sides to every story. I was going to write something on here when it came to, I totally forgot to even put in my outline what to do with online stuff. Like what do you do when it comes to online gossip about yourself? What do you do when you see online gossip? Should you get involved? Should you try stopping it? You know, what do you do when there's online gossip? And believe me, there's online gossip. There's any type of group in the world that you can join and gossip about someone. So just remember, number one, there are 2 sides to every story. I have determined in my life, if I'm going to listen to one side of the story, I will hear the other side as well. I want both sides. I want to hear it coming from both people. Every person that is telling their side will always make it sound rosier than it actually was. I remember this back when we used to watch this show a long time ago, Everybody Loves Raymond. I don't know if any of you have ever seen it. There was this episode where it was basically telling the story from each, like Deborah and Raymond's point of view. So Raymond's side was like, he was totally innocent. He had done nothing, right? And he's just making Deborah out to be this horrible battle axe that was just getting triggered over everything. And then Deborah's side of the story, it came out and it was like, you know, Raymond was being a jerk. She was doing everything perfect and she was being all sweet and nice. So obviously it's going to be skewed depending on who it's coming from. In our minds, we're always justified. We're always right. The other person's always wrong. Well, that's why you want to give, if you're going to spill your guts about this story that you have, you need to give the person that's listening both sides. They need to have the chance to hear from both parties involved and then let them be a discerner. Let them, you know, try to figure out and give from the outside looking in advice rather than just hearing one side of the story. I don't personally make a judgment call until I hear both sides. And I often get emails um, every week from women dealing with stuff, and they're telling me their side, whether that comes to this is going on in my church or my husband's being this way. And it's very difficult for me. I have to tell them, put the disclaimer out there. Listen, I don't know both sides of the story. I really wish I did. So if I knew both sides of the story, then I could tell you better, give you better advice. If it ever comes down to marriage counseling, we always get both sides of the story. My husband and I do. We need to know both sides of the story. It's very easy to slant a story against someone if you want them to look bad. Anyone can do that. So we always get both sides of the story. Um, if and I remember these things when it comes to people and gossip and running their mouth. If someone is gossiping to me, they're going to gossip about me. Okay. If someone is just constantly negative towards other people, they always have a problem with this person. They always have a problem with that person. This person is just a terrible Christian because they're doing this and they're allowing this in their life and blah, blah, blah. I am like, if you are this down on everyone, you're this down on me. Like, I'm definitely not perfect. I have my own faults, and you could sit there and gossip about my faults too. And the funny thing is that the person gossiping also has faults and they also have things. And oftentimes the biggest gossips are the ones who are the most insecure, the ones that have maybe even some secret sin that they alone know about. And they're terrified people are going to figure it out or find out about it. And so they want to elevate themselves or make them look better by putting down everyone else in the church or, all of their friends or whatever. So be very, very careful. If you don't want to be gossiped about, don't let people gossip to you. That's a big, big thing. Always try to de-escalate situations when they come up. Don't add fuel to the fire. If you have someone, this is the approach I try to take. Even when it comes to my kids, let's say that there is an offense, I will tell them oftentimes, that really stinks. That's awful that happened to you. But maybe it's because this person isn't a terrible person. Maybe this was going on, or maybe that was going on, or maybe they had this going on in their life and you didn't know about it. Just remember, people are always going through stuff. People always have stuff going on, maybe that we don't know about. Maybe they had a horrible week. Maybe everything in their house broke down. Their fridge broke down, and their washer broke down, and their truck broke down, and they got $1,000 dentist bill. And, they have all this stuff going on. And they're just having a bad week and they chose to take it out on someone else or whatever. I don't know. But if someone comes to you with a story about someone in the church, or I don't know, maybe you have a friend group and there's a story about one of your friends and you're just like eating it up and you're like, tell me more. Oh, and by the way, the other day they said this about you, and you're just like adding fuel to the fire. That's a bad trait to have. You don't want to be the one that's always adding the fuel to the fire. You want to be the one to kind of de-escalate the situation. Well, I'm really sorry they said that about you, but I know for a fact that they're going through something right now, or I know I can't tell you about it. You don't want to be like, hey, well, do you know what they're going through? And then, blah, 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 blah. And you're just, saying horrible things about them, but you always want to try to de-escalate situations. If you want to be the best church member, like your pastor's favorite church member, right? Always try to de-escalate the situation. Don't ever add fuel to the fire. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how you can do that. For me, oftentimes, if someone comes to me complaining about someone else, I will say, why don't we go get that person and tell them exactly what you're feeling right now? I don't want to be in the middle of someone's spat. I don't want to be in the middle of someone's fight. So, if someone is gossiping to me about someone else, I feel that person has a right to know. And that's oftentimes maybe I won't get gossiped to about someone because I'm well known for just asking the person about it. Hey, I heard this about you. Is this true? Can you tell me your side of the story? I think because I've been lied about and gossiped about so much of my life, I'm very, very, very careful with just taking someone's word at face value. Like, I want to know whoever they're telling me about, if the story is truly that awful, I want to get it from that person's mouth. Like, did this actually happen? Did you do this? What's going on? Can I help in something? So I directly go to the person, or I'll ask, why don't we go get them? And we'll tell them right now, like, we'll talk about it. Let's go talk to them about it. Realize that you can't stop gossip, but you don't need to be in the center of it all the time. Is it like always traced back to you? Oh yeah. Well, I heard that from Cassandra. Well, I heard that from Cassandra. Well, Cassandra told me. If it's already always being traced back to you, there's a big problem with that. And do people run to you with every bit of, drama and every bit of news, and they've come running to you with it? Guess what I heard? That's a big red flag too. So what is not gossip? What isn't gossip? So when someone comes to you with a story that's going around about you or someone in your family, and they're asking you about it, like, I heard this, is this true? I don't believe that that's gossip because they're coming directly to you. What gossip is someone comes to you with a nasty story about someone else, like someone else in the church, But if they were like, hey, listen, I heard this about you. I just want to confirm, is this going on? Because this doesn't seem like you. Like, this seems out of character. I don't feel like this accurately describes you. So I'm just running it past you. They're genuinely coming to you because they care. They know that the story is going on. They don't think it sounds true, but they want to check with you. They're going right to the source. So when someone comes to you with a story that's going on about you or someone in your family and is just confirming, checking it out with you, that's not gossip. When someone is righting a wrong with you, that's not gossip. When someone's confirming or asking about a story they've heard, that's actually the best thing to do. In fact, back when we changed eschatology, we were lied and gossiped about so much. We were lied and gossiped about from pulpits. We were lied and gossiped about word to mouth. And my husband only had 2 or 3 other Baptist preachers that directly called him and said, hey, I heard this through the grapevine. Is this true? And my husband appreciated that so much because it showed the character of that person, that they were willing to just pick up the phone and call. You would be shocked at how many people are terrified of directly talking to someone about an issue. Like, these preachers, they don't agree with my husband in eschatology. They still don't. And this is many years later, but they had the courage to call him and ask him directly. And that meant a lot to him. Gossip is not going directly to the source, going directly to the source and saying, listen, is this true? Whatever. I told them I didn't think it was true and I was going to check with you. So oftentimes too, that will stop gossip. Like I said, if someone's trying to tell you something about someone else, just being like, why don't we all 3 go talk to them about it? See what happens. Let's get this worked out. Because are you telling me because you want me to be mad at them too? Or are you telling me because you're hurt, which I understand. If you're hurt, I'm sorry, but let's get this worked out. Like, maybe they were having a bad day and they just said something stupid. We all say stupid things from time to time. We all say things we regret, but do you want to keep them as a friend? Maybe we need to get this worked out. We need to work through this. We want unity. We don't want divisiveness in the church. We want to all work together as a team. So why don't we go find them and we work through this? What is gossip? Gossip is telling a story to someone about someone else with the intention of making them look bad. And oftentimes this isn't even confirmed. Gossip is, did you know that the McMurtrays, they let their kid watch this movie? Why are you telling them that? Why are you telling another person that? First of all, what they do in their home and what they allow is going to be different than what you allow, and it's none of your business. If we would all just mind our own business and raise our own families and stop worrying about every other family in the church, it would be so much better. Gossip is, do you know, I saw Cassandra out in public and she was wearing a pair of pants. Did you know I saw that? First of all, I wouldn't be in pants in public. But why are you telling that? Is that going to help? Is that going to edify the person that you're telling that to? Is that going to make me look better or worse, depending on why you're telling the gossip. Maybe you liked it. I was wearing pants. Maybe that's positive gossip. I don't know. Most of the time in IFB churches, it's not though. Something like that. Do you know? I saw the McMurtry's car parked outside a movie theater. Why are you telling that to someone? Are you trying to make the McMurtry's look less in someone else's opinion? Or are you the one who's always, do you know, I saw that, the Boyles, let's use Boyles as an example because it's on my brain because Caleb or Stephen just got married. I saw that Stephen got married and that he's just, he was a great example. They were pure when they got married. They did things the right way. And isn't that great? It's such a great, are you the one telling positive things like that? Or are you just trying, do you know, the Boyles, they watched a Disney movie? Or are you spreading things like that? Which I don't even know if the Boyles watch Disney movies. Who knows? I don't care. They'll still be my friends if they do or if they don't. But yeah, just little stuff like that. It's just always trying to find fault in another family. Always trying to pick apart what they're doing and how they're raising their kids and what they're doing. Why don't you be the bearer of positive gossip? And if they do something you don't approve of, you don't need to go around telling everyone and their mother. You don't need to be the one telling other people things that you don't like about this family or things you hate about this family and what they're doing wrong and how you have everything so right because your kids are so perfect. And that's not even true anyways, because none of us have perfect kids. None of us are doing everything that we should be doing. So gossip is sharing stories that could possibly be true with the intention of making someone look bad. Gossip is sharing false information, especially false information when you are just intentionally making things up to make someone else look bad. Gossip is talking to every other person in the church about an issue you have with someone in the church without directly talking to that person. Gossip is also talking bad about your pastor and his family or your pastor and his wife, talking to every other person in the church before going to your pastor. If you have a problem with your pastor, you need to go directly to your pastor and talk to him about it. A lot of people might think, well, my pastor's mean, or, most pastors aren't mean, but maybe you've had a bad run-in with the pastor and that's why you have those negative feelings. But I know I'm just speaking based off who my husband is. He many times has had people come to him with things and he is very calm about it. He doesn't freak out at them or yell or whatever. Hey, Shasa. So, but yeah, gossip is talking about problems in the church, problems that you foresee, problems that you think are there with every other person in the church without talking to your pastor. If you have an issue, you need to go directly to your pastor about it. How to handle gossip. So how can we handle gossip when we hear it, when it comes to us? Number one, just don't partake. You can excuse yourself. I think people are going to get the hint if every time scuttlebutt comes up about someone, you quietly excuse yourself. And you don't need to make a big show about it. You don't need to try to be over the top and look at how spiritual I am because I'm not partaking. Be like, oh, they're talking about that. I got to leave. I can't hear this. You don't need to make a big show of it. You can just find something to do. Quietly excuse yourself. Don't reshare stories. Oftentimes, I wish people would know all the times that a story gets shared with me, and even if it's true, how many times it completely stops with me. Like it does not go any further. Oftentimes I don't tell my kids most of the time. Oftentimes, I can't say I don't tell my husband. I pretty much tell him everything, but he'll forget it as soon as I tell him. So it pretty much stops right there. There have been hundreds, probably throughout the years, hundreds of stories that have stopped with me and they've not gone any further than that. So just because the story is true doesn't mean that you need to share that. And what is your goal? When you're speaking to people, when you're speaking to others about others, what is your goal in that conversation? Is it to edify the person that's not there that you're talking about? Is it to make them look better? Is it to put out fires that maybe are going on? Maybe there's controversy, maybe there's conflict. Or are you doing it just to make your friend think badly about them? Are you doing it to make yourself feel better? Because, look at what this person's going through. I'm not going through that. I'm not doing that. So hence, I must be so much better. What is your goal in telling stories about other people to other people? Okay. So don't reshare stories, even if they're true. What's your goal in resharing it? Just to make yourself look better? Just to make that person look bad. Maybe you've never liked that person and you're like, aha, here's the proof I need. I never liked them. So is that your goal, just to make you look good because you called it, because you knew about it? What is your goal in telling other people? Keep your mouth shut. Just keep your mouth shut. You don't have to partake in gossip when someone's telling you. Or ask the person telling you, okay, I heard your side now. Can I go ask them their side? Because I'm such a firm believer in hearing both sides of the story. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Why are you so quick to think the worst of people? Are you showing a little bit of what's in your heart? There have been many times where maybe something has come out about someone that is true. And rather than just jumping on it right away, I'm shocked and devastated, honestly, because I'm like, I can't imagine that person ever doing that. Like, this is so hard for me to fathom that, they would be getting divorced because they were who I looked up to for marriage advice. It's hard for me to fathom that this preacher would be having an affair because I loved his preaching and I got a lot from his preaching. So instead of just gloating about it and being so quick to share it and look what this person fell into sin, can we just be sad for a little bit? Can we just be sad that someone fell into sin? Can we be shocked and horrified? Or are we just going to be like, I knew it, I called it? Now, there have been a couple people, Jack Scott, cough cop, that I did not like from the beginning because of his arrogance. And I felt he was very full of himself. He was very prideful. I don't really like overly prideful people. They just kind of rub me the wrong way, because at the end of the day, we're all humans and we all eat, sleep, die. So we're not better than anyone else. We're all humans at the end of the day. And I just felt like he was very full of himself. So when it actually came out about him, the magnitude of the sin shocked me. The fact that he had fallen into sin did not, because I believe that prideful men will fall into sin because they think they're above sin in a way. And I think he did. So just keep your mouth shut when it comes to situations. Tell someone if you're asked about something, I'm sorry, I can't talk about that situation. That oftentimes will shut things down. I can't talk about it. I don't want to be the reason that a story is getting spread. A lot of times, even if it's true, if a story starts getting spread about someone, that person, pride is going to get involved. And when that person finds out that all their friends know about this situation that happened, or all their church knows about it, or all their family knows about it, pride is going to get involved. They're going to be very embarrassed. And they're going to distance themselves from you. If it's a friendship, they'll distance themselves from you. If it's a church setting, they're not going to want to come back to church. There's a lot of things that can go on with pride in a situation. So the fewer people that know, the better. And the more that you can de-escalate the situation, the better. So just give people the benefit of the doubt when you hear things about them. Go directly to them. Ask them about it. Is this true? This doesn't sound like you. It sounds out of character. I've done that so many times. I can't even tell you how many times I've done that. I go directly to the source. What do we do if someone's gossiping about us, though? This can be hard, because I know for me especially, I like truth and I like justice. And if there is a story out there that's not true about us, it really ticks me off. And to me, it's just unfair because that didn't even happen. Right? One thing that I've had to tell myself through the years is, because I have a platform, because my husband has a platform, and especially if either one of us ever starts to have any influence of any kind, stolen influence is a very big trigger for some. And some people can't stand it, especially if they hate you when you have any type of influence at all. So they will do everything in their power to make others think badly of you. They will try to make you look like a terrible mother. They will try to make, her advice doesn't work. Don't listen to her. Look at, she has this flaw and she has that flaw and she has this flaw. All of us have flaws. We do. At the end of the day, we all have flaws. We're not perfect. But why is it someone's life mission to make everyone else think so badly of someone else? It oftentimes is because there's a glaring fault in their own life. There's a glaring sin. There's something that they're trying to cover or hide in their own life. And so they want to put the attention on someone else and all the flaws of someone else. So I've realized that someone somewhere will always be gossiping. There will always be an untrue story out there. In the past, I used to try to write it, RIGHT. Like I used to try to, this isn't true. If I saw a stupid online rumor or gossip, this isn't true. Why are people even saying this? You don't even know the facts. And then I would just be like, oh, yes, it is. Someone knew everything about my life, even though this is my life. No, this is true about your husband, Cassandra. No, it's not. But yet, no, this is true because this Facebook group said it. So I just came to realize that you can't go around being a vigilante and like stopping every rumor and every lie. There's always going to be people out there gossiping. There's always going to be lies made up. And there's nothing I can do about it. And it's pointless anyways. My main thing is my relationship with God okay? Did this happen? Nope. Is this a lie? Yep. Okay, then. God knows and sees all. God will judge. I don't need to get involved. It's out of my hands, out of my control. I cannot control other people's tongues. So I need to just keep doing what I'm doing. I need to keep pressing on. I need to keep raising my family for the Lord. I need to keep serving the Lord. I need to stay in church. I need to stay consistent. I need to stay faithful because God sees and knows all and he can be the judge. I'm not even going to mess with it. So why do people gossip? Jealousy is the main issue. Jealousy. If you have someone who's just your arch nemesis, who's like made it their life goal to just like tell everyone how terrible you are and how bad you are and bring up, show people screenshots and like show one-sided conversations and have whole files on you. If you have someone like that in your life, it can be linked to jealousy for the most part. Insecurity. They have a lot of insecurities themselves. So in order to help their insecurities, they focus on other people and bring up all their faults. Also pride. You can't stop gossip, but you can continue to live your life the best way you know how and how to glorify God. So what do they do if people are gossiping about your family? And this is where I have the gossiping about my family and friends is tough for me. I do want to right every wrong and I do want to stop it, but it happens all the time to me. But I've just learned that I have to keep doing my thing and ignore it. I can't stop it, so ignore it. Keep living for the Lord, keep serving, stay out of the gossip about others. Lead your kids by example. Your kids are going to see how you handle people talking badly about you. Your kids are going to see if you hit the roof about it, if you try to retaliate and do the same to them, they're going to see how you handle it. So you lead by example. Gossip can hurt other people. And, if you have a part in it, you really need to watch, why am I having a part in this? Is this to make me feel better about myself? Is this because I have insecurity in my own life? Why do I feel the need to talk badly about other people behind their backs when they're not even here? My rule of thumb is I will not say something about someone behind their back I would not say to their face. If I'm going to say it to their face, then yes, that's fine. That's one thing. But even then, you have to be careful because it's just not good to talk badly about people behind their backs. If you're going to have a hard conversation, have it with them there. Gossip can destroy a church from within. It really can. It can ruin reputations. It can ruin testimonies. It can cause divisions. It can cause tense feelings between parties and churches and families and friendships. All we want is unity, especially in a church setting. You're there for one goal. You're there to worship the Lord. You're there to see people won to Christ. You're there to make disciples out of Christians. You're there for people to grow spiritually. And gossip can tear that apart. If people are just constantly backstabbing each other, they're nice to your face. And then as soon as you walk away, they're making faces about you and rolling their eyes and being like, you know what I heard her say about so and so? Do you know what I saw her? You know, Gertrude over there, I saw what she made and it was disgusting and no one ate it, you know, and she just makes the most disgusting food and blah, blah, blah. Why do you have to talk bad about people? Why do you have to talk down about people? It's a way to elevate ourselves. Gossip can ruin relationships, and especially if someone is weaker and falls for the gossip. Okay. If someone doesn't know me at all, but yet someone for some reason wants me to look bad to that person, if they don't know me at all, they're gonna be like, oh my goodness, that Cassandra is a terrible person. Oh my goodness. Like, I can't believe she did that. And maybe I didn't even do it. Maybe my close friends would be like, whoa, 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 hold up. That does not sound like Cassandra. What Cassandra was like telling everyone else, but never even told the person involved, that doesn't sound like Cassandra because the Cassandra I know would go directly to the person involved. You know, she would tell them what she thought, she would take it up with them. And that's exactly how I handle things. So, how do I handle gossip personally? I always remember there's two sides to every story. I go directly to the person being gossiped about. I ask them, hey, is this true? You know, what's going on? I make a judgment call, but I realize even if it's true, we all have issues and problems. We all have issues and problems. If you're my friend, it doesn't change the way I view our friendship because I go off of what I personally know about you, not what someone is saying about you. If I'm close to you, it's because I like you and I've gotten to know you. And I don't care what people are texting me or people are trying to get me to believe about you. I just wish everyone held that philosophy. If I go directly to the person, I'll go directly to them and then we'll work it out. But then I'll keep my mouth shut. I don't need to tell anyone else about that. Obviously, I'll probably tell my husband, but I don't need to tell anyone else about that. And how do I handle offenses? Well, number one, I don't tell others. If I have a problem with something that's been done to me, I'm talking about when you personally get your feelings hurt, when you are personally hurt. Um, I don't tell others because that's going to grow. Chances are, if I'm telling someone else, they're going to tell someone else. Chances are they're going to tell someone else. And it goes on and on and on until half the church knows, three-fourths of the church knows, the whole church knows. You know, I don't tell others. I only interact with the person involved in the situation. The more people who know about a situation, the bigger it becomes. The bigger it becomes, the more likely pride is to enter into that. And once pride gets involved, offenses come and your brother is lost because he got his feelings hurt or pride is involved and he doesn't want to be humbled. It's a humble man is a very, very, very rare thing in today's society. For someone to actually humble themselves, apologize if there is a need for it, recognize they're wrong, and then move past that, it almost never happens. Virtually almost never happens once pride is involved. Why do people do this? Why do they go around telling people about offenses and about hurts that have happened? It's because they need to feel like they are in the right. They need cheerleaders and those supporting them to make the other person in the story look like the bad guy. So that's why they need to feel vindicated in how they are acting. They need to feel vindicated in their behavior. They need their behavior to be validated. They need to be told it's okay that you're acting this way because they did you wrong instead of just trying to work it out. Talk it out with whoever the offense involves and then walk away from it. Don't rehash it to others. Don't bring it up again. Don't constantly dwell on it. Don't constantly mention it. Just walk away. Walk away from it. Be very careful texting because people use one-sided text all the time. They never share the entire conversation. They clip out what they want to with you and they share this, they share what they want to share. So I found out recently that someone who doesn't even know me was thinking horrible thoughts about me directly when it comes to marriage related things, because supposedly I was talking about, or I was basically blaming the woman for everything that the husband had done, which is so laughable because once again, those who are close to me know that number one, I have a no nonsense rule, a zero boundary line drawn with abuse and physical abuse. Like if you are getting physically abused in any way, you get out. Okay. You get safety, you get help, you call the police, whatever that is. I also have never said that women are the only ones at fault in a marriage relationship. Now, since my channel is geared towards women, I'm going to specifically speak to women about women related things. I'm not going to really speak to men about things that they need to do. My husband can do that in his preaching. He can do that in his podcast, whatever. And he has touched on those subjects before. But I'm not going to personally like go after the men. However, I do have a no tolerance for physical abuse, that type of thing. So it's laughable for someone to be saying that I was condoning abuse or saying it was all the woman's fault. Like, if you just sleep with your husband enough, it'll take care of all the problems in the relationship. I've never believed that. I've never taught that. Um, but being shown one side of a conversation, she took something I had said and just came to that I'm okay with abuse. I'm okay with husbands being jerks. I'm okay with, it's always the woman's fault. And this image of me was in her mind, which anyone that knows me knows that's the furthest thing from the truth. And it really bothered me when I first heard about it because I've always been so different from, I guess, mainstream cultish people that can be culty when it comes to like Lori Alexander, I believe. She's very much like this, where all the blame always lies on the woman's shoulders. It's always the woman's fault. If only she did this, he would have done that, and et cetera, which I don't believe that for 1 second. I believe Lori Alexander is off her rocker when it comes to advice she gives. I believe that she takes it way too far and that she does not expect men to take any responsibility at all for anything that happens in the marriage. So I guess to be compared to that, it really bothered me. But all that to say, that all came from a conversation that probably should have just happened over the phone. And I am very careful when it comes to emails and when it comes to texting, especially with people that I'm really not very close to. Maybe just a random person that's just reaching out for advice, because I do know that my words can be used publicly. And I do know that once it's written, you cannot take it back. And that is another very important lesson to teach our children, the power of words and the power of the written word, and how even if you are in a chat group and you say something stupid, it could be online forever. And, words don't die. Screenshots don't die. So be very, very careful in how you talk and how you communicate, especially with the written word, because those things can be used to you. So I've learned through the years that I have to be very careful with texting. Texting has a way of blowing up. From now on, my new philosophy is I will not have heated conversations or even serious, very, very serious conversations through texting. I need to call. I will call. I will do it through the spoken word. And there are those crazy nut jobs who record conversations, and that has happened to my husband many times. But he is also the same way. He knows that things will be used against him. Things have been used against him, and he's very careful. He takes it very, very seriously. So be careful about texting. People do use one-sided conversations to make you look bad to others, especially if it's in their heart from the beginning that I want to make this person look bad. This person is bad. And so they can take sentences that maybe you type out and the other person is not getting the full context of the conversation at all. And that's what happened with mine. The other person was not getting the full context of the conversation. In fact, I have no idea where it even came from. I'm thinking maybe she was asking me, is there anything I can do? Whatever. And I threw some ideas out there. Well, maybe try this. I don't know. I don't even know the context of it. I didn't see it, but I just do know things were being shown to others regarding conversations where I had tried to give advice. And this is also another reason it's hard as a pastor's wife sometimes, because I will give the best advice that I know. And this is, let's say it's about a marriage, and I'm giving the advice I know the best I can. Let's say I have both sides of the story, but these have been problems that have been building for 5, 6 years. Okay. And someone comes to me and they're like, fix this. I can only tell you so much. Sometimes there's no fix. Sometimes you should have gotten help 10 years ago and you didn't. And now you're coming to me 10 years after this conflict has started and expecting me to say some magic words and fix it. And there are none. There are none. So what happens is then they turn on me. Well, you should have been able to give me advice that fixed. Guys, that's so unrealistic. That's not even possible. Oftentimes, marriage problems don't begin with one fight. It's years and years and years and years and years and years of problems that have never been addressed. So I can give you what little advice. I don't know if it'll help. This is stuff I've seen that has helped with other people, but there are no magic words to fix things. And so it gets hard when you do pour time into people and you pour love and you pour care and you want to see their lives. Like you want it to get better and it doesn't. And it gets worse because oftentimes by the time people come to you for counseling, it's almost past the point of like reconciliation. Like it's problems that have been building for so long. There's not even much advice you can offer. And then they need someone to be the bad guy. So they turn on you. And that happens so much. And it's disappointing and it hurts because you really do care for these people and you want them to have a good life and you want them to have a good marriage like you do. But there's just been years and years and years of bad decisions leading up to that. And then you're the bad guy because you couldn't fix it or because you didn't counsel us like right when I asked, so it's all your fault. No, those problems started the day you said I do. And the day that you started making bad decisions when it came to your marriage, that's when the problem started. It didn't start with me, not giving you a counseling session right at the exact time that you demanded it. So just sharing a little bit of your heart when it comes to being a pastor's wife and, having people come to you. Just be careful. I would advise anyone to be careful with texting because what you say will be used against you in the court of your peers. Try to de-escalate the situation when it comes to offenses every time. Don't add to it. Don't add fuel to the fire. Does it get old being the bigger person all the time? Does it get old? I've been at my church for 13 years now. I've been hurt in those 13 years. I've had people lie about me. I've had people slander me. I've had people gossip about me. I can't walk away from it. I have to deal with issues that pop up because this is my church. This is my home. And I'm not going anywhere. And I wish if more people just had that mindset, I think we would be, first of all, less inclined to make big deals out of little issues. And we would be more inclined to work through the little issues that pop up if we just had that mindset. But for the regular person in the church, if they have a problem, an offense comes, they get mad, they can just leave. The pastor and his family cannot. They can't just walk away. They have to, they're here. They're in it for the long haul. And I wish more lay people had that mindset, just like this is our church, this is our home. We're going to work through these problems, instead of trying to find greener pasture every 3 years, because that's usually what happens. Offenses come, you're going to be lied about, you're going to be gossiped about, but you have to be the bigger person. That's what we're all called to do as Christians. We're all called to get along with each other. We're all called to be in unity with each other. And so we're going to have to work through these little things that pop up. We're supposed to lead by example. So yes, sometimes it does get old. Sometimes it does get old being the one that, maybe I do want to throw in the towel and go, I don't know, find a church where I can just sit and be a fly on the wall and not have to be as involved as I am. I'm human. Those thoughts have crossed my mind. But I can't, I've been called to lead my children by example. And how am I leading them if every time a problem pops up, I don't work through it and I just leave and go find another church where I won't have problems for like a year. And then after a year, I'm going to get to know people and I'm going to figure out they're human and I'm going to figure out they sin and I'm going to figure out that they have problems too. And instead of gossiping about it to everyone, I could just try to de-escalate it and work through it. Go directly to them with the problem, work through it with them, so on and so forth. So the last thing I put on here was just how do I deal with online gossip? It kind of is in the same genre as like, I can't stop all gossip, so I'm not even going to try. First of all, don't be involved in groups that have online gossip. If you're in a group that has it, I've had to leave several groups on Facebook because it was too toxic. It was just full of just nitpicking and tearing other people apart and, analyzing their every word. And I knew that they were a reprobate from the start because he said flat earth, something stupid like that. I've had Facebook groups I've had to leave. It was too much. The gossip was too much. I didn't want to be a part of it. And I felt like being in that group was me being a part of it. And that's why in the Gently Led Sisters group, I have a no gossip rule. Like even when it comes to sharing stories about your husband, I don't want you on their husband bashing. I don't want you doing posts because we only know one side of the story. We don't live with you in your home. We don't see both sides of the story. So yes, I encourage asking for advice and asking for biblical counsel from older women, but not in a way where, my husband's a jerk. He's like this all the time. I don't know how I can live with him. I just want to leave him. I encourage no drama. I don't want drama in there. I don't want anyone talking badly about other women. So I've tried to have just a zero gossip rule when it comes to the Gently Led Sisters group. I want a very positive group. I don't want a toxic environment. Those who gossip the most will eventually be turned on. Just remember that. If you are out there just being hardcore and harsh on everyone else in the entire universe, eventually that will turn around on you. Some of the biggest online railers that I've ever seen, it turns on them eventually in a bad way. And then they get burnt out and they completely leave everything to do with Baptist or being a Baptist or being IFB. They reject all of it. When in reality, they were a railer at heart and they were attracted to the other railers. And eventually the other railers turned on them and they got a taste of their own medicine. And doesn't feel good because words hurt. Lies hurt. Slander hurts. Railing hurts. And so yeah, just remember that. Usually the ones running their mouths the most about other people online, it will turn against them eventually. It always does. It's not karma. It's what you sow. It's what you sow. There have been times where I've seen online gossip regarding friends of mine, and I have stepped in and said, this isn't true. And I was turned on big time. But, this isn't true. What you're saying is not true. So if it's this just happened, it wasn't in a group I was in, just someone that I was friends with. Well, what I eventually started doing is rather than being Joan of Arc and rushing in to defend my friends or my loved ones, if I saw a post aimed towards my husband, first of all, if I saw a post aimed towards some of my friends, like the Boyles or, the Fritzes or any of my friends like that, pastor friends, if I saw a post aimed towards them, I would delete them as my friend. I'm not going to have that on my timeline. I don't want to be tempted to just be Joan of Arc and be known as like this loudmouth woman who rushes in to defend all her friends, even though I think that's a noble trait. I didn't want to be known as a mouth myself. So I just started quietly deleting them and delete. If I saw a post against my husband, delete. If I saw someone sharing a sermon against my husband, delete. If I saw someone sharing a sermon against Pastor Boyle, delete. I don't have to have that in my life. And so I feel like overall with online stuff, it's just easier to get that out of your life. If your entire feed is filled with people just gossiping about others, maybe you need to delete your entire feed and start over. Have more uplifting friends than that. Your friends will rub off on you. If you're constantly seeing that, you're going to start developing that same attitude and that same spirit. And it's not a spirit that I want. It's not a spirit I want any of my daughters having. The Bible does talk about a meek and quiet spirit. And that is something that I've had to work on my whole life at developing because it doesn't come naturally to me. Naturally, I want to go to war for those that I'm close to. Naturally, I want to go to war for those I love. Naturally, I want to defend my husband. And I've had to learn that God sees all. God will defend him. God knows all. God knows his heart. God knows the truth from lies. And that's really all that matters at the end of the day. It's impossible to try to keep up with all the lies out there and all the slander out there against us. And so God knows, and I have to rest in that and be happy with that and be at peace with that. So that's, anyways, how I handle all of that. So basically, it all boils down to online gossip. I leave the groups, I delete the friends that are doing it, and my Facebook is a much more peaceful place. So it works for me. So hopefully, something I said worked. The chat was a little bit low today. Maybe everyone was listening. But go ahead and like this video, leave a comment. How do you deal with gossip? How do you discourage gossip? How do you uplift others instead of tearing them down? I would like to know your thoughts below. So it definitely helps the algorithm. Yes, Sherry, you did, because at a time there was a lot. So, Kaylin, and that is true too. Even with AI, you can make conversations up now and show people. And that's where I guess just having true friends really helps, because let's say that someone makes up a conversation I had with them and they show someone else. If that person is my true friend, they're going to be like, Cassandra did not say this. That is so out of character. And then they would come directly to me, ask me about it, and I would say, I absolutely did not say that. What in the world? They are off their rocker. Where are they getting this from? Whatever. So that's where having, close, true friends really, really helps. So, yes, Haven, that's always good. I deal by first praying with my husband and getting his advice. I guess that's a good thing that I did not even put in there. Don't fly off the handle. As soon as you hear, as soon as you hear about something being said about you or whatever, don't just instantly have a reaction. That is very good advice, to pray about it. Be like, Lord, show me, why are people saying this about me? How should I deal with this situation? And then asking your husband for his advice, because as women, we are a little bit more emotional and our husbands are usually more logical, and they will offer, logical advice to deal with situations rather than you just flying off the handle, calling the first person that know, and then just causing a fire that's out of control. Because that is a lot of women's gut reaction, is just to start getting on the phone, especially, and this is too, this has happened before with us in the past. People think we're telling people about things, and we don't, because it literally stays in house. We have so many secrets we keep. It literally stays in house. Anything people tell us, it stays there. It stops there. It does not go on. We've had people in their minds think we are saying things, and so they get on the phone and start calling past members, just whoever, friends that they think are going to take their side, and they start saying all this bad stuff about us. By then, it's like all this stuff is out. It's like tearing open a feather pillow in the wind and then going back and gathering up all the feathers. Once you start calling people and texting people and all this stuff, once you start doing that with people, it's getting out there, and there's no taking those words back. So you have to be really, really careful with just who you call and talk to about situations. Just always go directly to the person. Go directly to the person, and that would solve 99% of problems when it comes to gossip and anything related to gossip. So anyways, yes, Kaylin, you almost made it. I'm so excited for you. I know you've been counting down to this day for a long time. So I'm proud of you for sticking it out, and better things are on the horizon for you. So very, very proud of you. All right, guys, I will not see you next week. I will be on an anniversary trip with my husband. That's been 23 years in the making, 23 years coming. We are finally getting to go by ourselves for 5 days to a place we've been wanting to go for a long time. So no live stream next Monday. We will be in Hawaii by then. So no live stream next week. I will touch base with you hopefully in a couple weeks. If you have any topic suggestions, leave them below. But otherwise, we will see you guys in a couple weeks, okay? I'm going to pause for just a minute before I end this, because it always ends earlier than what I want. So